All right, so normally I like to edit and all this. This is an instant reaction. I think I'm gonna start doing some more instant reaction podcasts for you all here. Thank you so much for tuning in to Player Development Pod. But we're gonna talk about House versus NCAA Settlement. House versus NCAA Settlement, which has been cleared. It was cleared last night, late Friday night. And so this is my instant reaction. I guess, well, maybe not instant, but this is my reaction to it. Whenever I see things like this, I always think about the players, right? This whole entire YouTube channel that you're watching is, and all the content I create is based off player development. So player development, or is geared towards player development. Player development is the enhancement of the athlete experience through holistic and intentional programming and initiatives. And so when I heard about this case, and there's the three main areas: back pay for athletes, rev share, and then the roster limits, which we'll talk about, I definitely wanted to get on here and give a reaction. Now, once again, it's unedited. I'm going straight through. It's live. It's not live, but we're gonna give it a live aspect. So number one, this is definitely new, and I'm still learning. I'm still gonna read. So I'm gonna talk about things I understand. The back pay for athletes, that's something I haven't read too much about. It sounds good. And if it is what it sounds like, back pay for former athletes, that's awesome that they'll get some cash from that. The thing I'm thinking about is those who are in this space, right? So one thing I noticed with NIL, and I knew this, I used to work in player development at Houston, Kansas, and Baylor. So I was in that role, developing our athletes, enhancing their experience. When NIL first came out, you could see that coaches were, since players were making money, there was less of an emphasis on the program developing the athletes because they were making money. Now, if you work in athletics, shout out to all those who work in athletics. Athletics is already a place, universities, not all, but most, where the development of those who are being paid by the school, who are employees, is very limited. You got, you can go to this conference or that, but your own professional development, your development as a person and a professional is in your own hands. We just had the 2025 Player Development Summit, and Dr. Lori Robinson and Jess Gray said something that was very, very pivotal. Someone asked a question about professional development, and they said professional development is in your hands, because the people who in sports may not get you developed to the level that you see yourself, but to the level they see yourself. So that's something that was already happening. And I was like, you know what kind of scared me in the role was, okay, if these athletes are going to get paid money, are they going to then say to the athletes like, hey, you making money, you got to take care of yourself? And so with NIL happening, you could kind of see the student athlete development programs, or the player development programs, player engagement, whatever you want to call it, at the college level. You could see it diminish a bit. But now I'm really, really nervous, or really, really wondering with revenue sharing where the school has to pay, right? NIL was coming from collectives, it was coming from companies, it was coming from boosters, other people, right? So the school didn't have to worry about, in a sense, giving funds that they have. Now there's like schools, you all can Google it, colleges to pay athletes. So now with this revenue sharing model, you're starting to see schools cut back on those student athlete development people. So it happened, I think, 2 weeks ago with Oklahoma. I saw somebody on LinkedIn, somebody that's big in this athlete development space. They mentioned they no longer have a job. And so my first reaction to all this is, it's happening where people are seeing these athletes as employees, and they're responsible. Since I'm paying you, you're responsible for your own development, which to me is scary, because they're still 18 to 24 years old. They are young adults. And some a little older, right? But they still need the development there. And to save money, which I don't want to say I don't understand it, but colleges, when they're looking at the bottom line, they're going to say, what can we remove? In most places, it's going to be player development, student athlete development, because the qualitative nature of the work. And if you know anything about me and my podcast, I always want to talk about, hey, in player development, a lot of stuff we do is qualitative, but you need to have a quantitative number. I have a podcast episode coming up probably this week about, is your, I don't know what the title is going to be, but it's basically your player development message needs to be the best it could be, more now than ever, right? And I have a couple things where I talk about how do you make, qualitative programming quantitative, right? So anyway, ADs are doing that. Coaches may be doing that as well. And so shout out to my people in student athlete development, those who have experienced job loss. I'm here with you. Please reach out to me if you need me to help out in any way. But it's been tough. I've been seeing it happen in academics. I know someone personally, one of my mentees, they've been removed from university. And so that academic aspect and that student athlete development aspect, they're going to get cut because of the revenue share. We got to pay this football team. We got to pay this basketball team. We got to pay the gymnastics teams. We got to pay these different teams, women's basketball, whatever it may be, right? We got to pay athletes on both. And then sports going to get cut most likely. And what I'm thinking is going to happen there. So that part there is tough for me to hear because I understand how important it is for athletes to be developed. A lot of athletes, the time I had in programs, I have players who are in NFL right now. I have players who are entrepreneurs right now, players that are doing great things in their lives. And they hit me up and say, thank you so much for being there to help develop. Everyone needs development at every level, in every sport, in every country. That is my message. That is my goal for it to happen. So with the revenue sharing piece, that is tough for me because I know colleges will be forced to make cuts to pay whatever the money is. I know some people say 22 million. I don't know the number straight up. You can read it. Like I said, I'm gonna go back and read some stuff and I may come back with a more polished podcast episode, but wanted to get this one out here. So I feel that those are cuts. Some of you all may say, well, you know, they are getting paid. They can figure it out on their own. When you were 18, when you were 21, could you, and maybe some of you all could say you could. I know when I was 18 to 23, it was going to be hard for me to figure out the stuff that I know I help athletes with. The stuff that if somebody didn't walk with me through it, I know that would have been hard for me to find for myself, right? And so, you know, I don't want to get into that argument with anybody. Everybody has their own thoughts, but with the revenue sharing aspect, I'm just fearful for the cuts that will not only happen to staff, but will happen to programming, what that will happen to resources. And student athlete development is very, very important right now. There's a N4A student athlete development and academics convention going on right now in Orlando. I wish I could be there. I won't be able to be there. I just came off the 2025 Player Development Summit here in Kansas City. It was a massive success. We talked about these things. Shout out to Dr. Ron Moses and Reggie Calhoun Jr. talking about this new reality. And so it's one of those things where unfortunately people are getting cut. I know what it's like. I've been fired twice. I was fired at the University of Houston. I was fired at Baylor University. So I know what that feels like. It's not fun. People have families. And this is just the new reality of sports. So I pray for and I hope that coaches and athletic directors and chancellors and presidents and board members and all the people who are in those discussions about cuts understand that programming, athlete development programming is needed because now you're going to have athletes. Academics is needed because what about, Dr. Ron Moses, who's the president of N4A, was talking about, the PTD or the path to graduation. PTD, I got to figure out. I think it's basically the graduation plan is how I knew it, right? Are people in a place to get their degrees, right? PTE might be path to degrees. I gotta ask him. But anyway, he talked about that most kids are coming in from 3 different universities, right? What does it look like for universities? That's gonna be pretty interesting. The other part for those who will stay in the role, so like the team facing player development people, you're gonna have a lot of conversations with people in the role because players now are gonna get paid. And I don't want to call it pros or semi-pros or salary cap, but it's a lot of people that are gonna get the reality of like, oh, I thought I was this much defensive tackle, but they're only going to pay me this much, right? Family's going to be involved. Family's going to get their feelings hurt. Oh, my son or my daughter, whatever sport it may be, they're worth this. This is what we have. And so those people who are in the role, there's going to be a lot more realities for them to handle as far as team building, team bonding, different things, messaging with coaches. Hopefully coaches have clarity in their communications. There's GMs now in the sports. And if you're a GM and you want to know more about player development and how I can help you in this space, please reach out. But yeah, I'm interested to see what it's going to do here. We've seen cuts. Like I said, Oklahoma made some cuts. There's other universities, Kansas made cuts. There's other universities that are rumored to make cuts. So that's a tough situation for me because I know a lot of people in those spaces and I'm close to a lot of people in those spaces. So that's tough. So this revenue sharing piece is going to be pretty interesting. Like I said, there's 3 pieces. I talked a little bit about the former players getting the back pay. I don't know what that looks like, but shout out to the former players who are getting that back pay. The revenue sharing model is the one that in conversations has been tough because they have to make cuts for this. And so even the people who keep their jobs in student athlete development or player development, they're going to be stretched over a lot of responsibilities. So that's going to be an interesting reality. And we'll see. I'll make some more content about that as well. The last piece is the roster limitations. So I think, and once again, I'm going to read this fully, but we look at scholarships. So instead of having scholarship limits, from what I'm understanding, a football team, I'm just talking football. I was in football for 6 years at the college level. You're going from 120 roster to 105. And some of you all may be hearing about that. Oh, that's an easy cut. Like, this isn't NFL. Like, it's tough to cut people in the NFL as well. So let me start off with that. It's not, I don't want to make it seem like, oh, in the NFL it's easy to cut people. But with these players, like, those are walk-ons. Those are walk-ons who are going to have to get the axe. And to go from 120 to 105 like that, that's tough. It wasn't like a 120 to 115. You got to tell 15 players who, and I don't know if people know walk-ons. Walk-ons are like your culture setters. They show up. You know, for us at Houston, you know, and where I've been, you had two walk-ons had to do two things. Have a great GPA and be a great scout team, a great person. We couldn't have a lot of distractions, couldn't have them in trouble, different things like that. And so you're losing 15. If you just think logistically, even from the coach, I used to coach high school football and seeing in college, that's 15 practice players you're losing. 15 practice players you're losing. Those 15 culture guys that you're losing. Those are 15 people who, let's just keep it a buck, could possibly lift up the team GPA. Those are 15 people who could do programming, go to the community. Those are 15 people who could, you know, help us create whatever, a better culture, a better career development pathway, whatever you want to call it. But those are 15 people who are going to have to hear that. And I'm talking college football. I don't know the other sports roster limitations because I just know what I know from my time in it. And so that's tough because a lot of great relationships I have are with walk-ons. Peyton Pardee is currently the head coach of the San Antonio Brahmas of the UFL. He was one of our walk-ons, and he was a great locker room guy. He did all the programming we did in player development. He was there. He was there in the community. He was there in career development, and now he's a head coach. He's a head coach of a professional football team, and a lot of that I'm not shocked because of his energy in our locker room, his energy in the weight room, his energy on campus, his energy in the classroom, right? And so you lose that. And you know, I have many stories. Biggie Smalls, Keesland Smalls is one of my walk-ons from Houston. I could see his face. Oh, that's going to bother me. That's going to bother me. My guy from Kansas, I could see his face. Anthony Leaks. Anthony Leaks is now, you know, a lawyer. He's in law school. Pell Okewu. He was with me at Kansas. He's a lawyer, right? And I also have great, you know, conversation about scholarship players as well, but there's just this connection I had to walk-ons. They're the ones that, you know, nobody thought could make the team, nobody thought this was possible, and they just carriers. They do so much. You know, Cordell Snyder, he's one of my walk-ons from Houston. He is the director of real estate for Lanes in Texas. Lanes, some of you all know from College Station, Chicken Fingers. He's a director of real estate, right? And they get to build these transferable skills to where they can go out to these different places from being a part of the team, right? And then they build other opportunities for athletes, right? They can hire different athletes, teammates. And so it's tough for me. Got a great relationship with walk-ons, love walk-ons. And it's not only going to cut walk-ons, it's going to cut just different spots, different places. It's tough, those 15 people who you were able to have on your team. And so those things this is my instant reactions, very like I'm not scripted. I don't have much notes, if any notes at all. I was listening to a really good podcast earlier today by Alan Green, who's the AD, Director of Athletics at Pittsburgh. And he was talking about some of this as well. And it's a lot of challenges, you know, for coaches, for athletic directors, for presidents, for board chairs. It's challenges all around. I understand it. There is going to be, I think one thing that I do like about it is they're going to have some accountability. I don't know what that structure is going to be called. I've seen like College Sports Commission and all that. I don't know what it's finally going to be called, but there's going to be some structure there. But like I said, I just wanted to get down here and get my instant reaction out and just talk about it. Once again, you know, players getting the back pay. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that because I don't know what that looks like, but shout out to the players getting back pay. The rev share is going to be interesting. The realities that players will have to deal with. Unfortunately, the cuts that are going to happen to those who serve athletes in many different ways. And then, you know, the roster cuts, the third thing, the roster cuts, that's going to be tough because you literally have to go in the locker room and tell 15 guys. And once again, I'm talking about football. I don't know the other sports as well. The roster cuts is, hey, you're done. Like, you got to go starting July 1. And so that's tough because does that athlete have somewhere else to go? Shout out to some of the coaches who saw this happening and they put on spring games for their walk-ons so their walk-ons could find other places. But that's tough. 15 football players is a lot. That's a lot. That's a whole side of a ball and 4 subs. So it's interesting. It's a new day. It's the reality right now of college athletics. So a lot of thoughts there. Like I said, this is my honest, raw emotion, emergency pod, whatever you want to call it, instant reaction. It's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out. But to those who are in it, be it athletes, be it those with staff, hey, you all are valuable. You all provide some impact to this world. I know things are changing. I've been through change myself, but don't let the change, do not let the change tell you what your value is to this world. You are valuable. You are needed in whatever space you go to. My prayers are with you all, those who will get the cuts. Unfortunately for staff and those players who get the cuts, my prayers are with you. Let God be with you as you go through this walk, and that you land on your feet in a place where you're best served to shine your light. Once again, just an emergency pod. As I always say, go out and create generational impact. Don't wait, create that generational impact today. I'll have more house settlement, rev share content coming soon, but just wanted to get this one out, get this one up, and just let everybody know my thoughts and how it deals with the player development side of the athlete. So y'all have a good one, and check out this recap of the 2025 Player Development Summit. See y'all. Go out and create generational impact.